Hey, what's up, Street Talks? The Eric from the Eric Street Photography blog. So just wanted to do a video with you just to share some practical turbo thoughts I had about personal power. So the basic notion of personal power is this: what do we all want and what are we searching for? What are we seeking? I think what we're seeking for is personal power. So let me define this and share with you some of my personal thoughts. So we humans, right, like me, you, human beings, we individuals, we are a closed, more or less kind of a closed system, right? So we have us, we have our bodies, we have our mind, whatever, but for the most part, our body is a closed shell, and everything that we experience is within this shell of what we call as being a human being. So even our mind isn't something that exists outside our body. Our mind is simply a manifestation of, the electrical impulses in our body, in our brain, our stomach, our legs, and so forth. And I know that I'm personally happiest when I have like power overwhelming, where I'm so in the zone of creating anything, like whether I'm writing, making videos, lecturing, making photos, making beats, whatever. And that's the moment where I feel so power overwhelming that's the supreme joy that I feel in life, where you almost feel like you're kind of transcending yourself, you're transcending your body, you're transcending your limits. And obviously it's all still within your body, but I think this is the feeling that we want. We want that, that zen, to be in that epic zen zone, or we want to feel like the state of flow, as the psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi calls it. And I think to talk about power is interesting because I think generally when people talk about, power, right, is that we want power over other people, over nations, and so forth. And I feel like that notion's a little bit lacking, because ultimately, we humans, like a lot of us, we want to have power over other humans, or at least that's what we think we want. But the problem about that is, when you got power over other humans, it's often worse or more stressful to have to, manage other human beings. So for example, like I want to personally exploit myself and my abilities to the personal maximum, but often, like if I had to rule over hundreds or thousands of people or be a manager, this would be not so nice, because I'm expending my personal power to manage other people or trying to exert my power over others, whereas I could just be using that energy to augment myself and my abilities. And contrary to what people think, I do think that, at least within a given day, we only have so much energy, right? So, if you think about like, law of conservation of energy, whatever, is that like, I kind of think of like our energy levels kind of like a smartphone battery, and assuming we don't have a charging cable. Charging cable is essentially only when you get to go sleep at night, right? So you start off the day with a limited amount of energy, and you could direct this energy towards whatever ends or means that you want. But as the day goes on, and as certain things you gotta do and stuff like that, it takes away from your battery levels, right? And now, while we have an iPhone or a smartphone, we could just kind of recharge ourselves in the middle of the day. Unfortunately, us humans, us biological beings, we're not that simple. I mean, we could take a nap, we go on a walk, we have another cup of coffee, maybe get some food, whatever. But for the most part, once you use the energy, it's kind of gone for the day. And so I think the secret of augmenting our own personal power, or our own personal creativity, or our own feelings of happiness, is to be very, very selective what we decide to use our energies on, right? Because if there's, like, once again, let's think of your energy levels like a pizza pie, right? You got like 12 slices of pizza. Every time you have to do something, you're giving away a slice of pizza. And I would say, if you want to maximize yourself, maybe it's better that you hoard all the pizza for yourself, right? You use each pizza slice towards whatever energy pursuits that you want to do in life, right? And to augment our own personal power, I think some of it is just kind of like practical daily strategies, and part of it is also just like physiological, related to the body and so forth. So I mean, just to get it out of the way, first and foremost, let me just share with you some personal things that has helped me augment my own personal power. So first and foremost, I think sleep is probably one of the most underrated things ever. Like, I'm like a big boy. I probably sleep like 10 to 12 hours a night, and I feel like that's the necessary amount of time that I personally need to recharge myself to 100% battery level. Because I think a lot of people, when they're like, oh, I slept only 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, or I pulled on at night or whatever, right? I mean, to me, it's not a good strategy, because it's like you're starting off the day and your phone's only 50% charged, and then you could so to me, it's people talk about like time management. To me, it's more about energy management, or like personal power management. Is you want to start off the day 100% refreshed, and you want to have maximal power to pursue anything you want. So let me give you a practical example. I think last night I probably slept around like maybe like 11 p.m. and today I woke up at around like 11 a.m. So I don't know, was that 12 hours? Yeah, so I slept a good 12 hours, had my cup of coffee, and now I feel super strong, super awake, and I'm ready to conquer the day. Now, since I woke up at 11, and today's a Saturday, so it's whatever. Well, but then I'm self-employed, so I could do whatever I want. But anyways, so let's say you have a 9-to-5 job, whatever. So the weekends, I think, are quite sacred. So some people are like, oh, I'm gonna try to wake up at like 5 a.m. every day, or 4 a.m. every day, or 3 a.m. or 2 a.m. Like, to me, this is kind of silly, because once again, you could wake up at like 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m., but if you don't have the maximal feeling of physiological power, you're not really going to be able to do anything with this power. And so I would rather wake up at like 11 a.m. or like noon and getting like a really damn good night's rest sleep, and maybe go super hard from like noon to like 6 p.m. or 8 p.m., whatever, and to maximally put forth my maximal effort and create epic stuff, rather than waking up at 4 a.m. and throughout the whole day you're just kind of super exhausted, drinking lots of coffee just to stay awake. Because I think within a given day, it's probably better to have 1 hour of insanely epic, productive, creative work with maximal physiological strength and effort, rather than to have like 10 hours of mediocre, like kind of just pencil pushing, right? So personal power, I think, is a good goal, because also you cannot force other people to do what they don't want to do in modern society. I mean, to a certain extent, like, this is what employment tries to do. This is like, having to pay someone a salary, whatever. But in today's world, or at least in the West, right, we don't got slaves. You can't force people to do things outside their own will, whatever. And not only that, but when you're trying to force other people to do contrary to their will, you essentially waste your energy. So, and still, like, when you're trying to control other people or get people to do what you want to do, there's always going to be some sort of like hidden resentment or whatever, because people don't do as you tell them to do. So what I would say is probably more interesting and more noble is you become the master of yourself. You strive to maximize yourself, your own personal abilities to your own personal maximum. And this way, it's great because you have 100% power over yourself and your actions. I mean, obviously, like, not, because there's probably all these like micro interactions in your body that you can't control. Like, I can't control whether I want to breathe or not. I just naturally breathe. But we could gain more mastery over ourselves, our own bodies, our own thinking, our own mode of living, rather than trying to control other people. So controlling other people, kind of not the best use of your energy and your time. Perhaps just try to control yourself. And so let's assume you augment your own your personal abilities, your own personal self, or power to the maximum. Now what? For me, it seems the logical thing is to maximize your creative production of just ideas, thoughts, artwork, music, and so forth. And there's so many different ways that you could express yourself. So some examples of some stuff you could do. So first and foremost, you can make videos like what I'm doing right now. You could use whatever camera, your phone, whatever, to just do selfie video vlogs, just you sharing your own personal thoughts and streaming your thoughts. That's one thing you can do. You could sit down with your laptop, your phone, whatever, and you could type out, you could write it out, whatever, personal thoughts, essays, blog posts, articles, whatever you want to do. Anything that you personally care about and you care for, and you want to share that information with others. To me, this is actually a really good and interesting life goal. Other things you could do is you could just do audio alone. You could create a podcast. There's this nice platform that I'm using. It's called Anchor. The website is anchor.fm, where I think there's like a free iPhone app or something like that. It makes it super easy for you to start your own podcast, because I know that starting a podcast was hyper complicated for me when I started off. And so you could do that. Other things you could do is you could use GarageBand, you can make beats, you can make music, you could use an instrument, whatever. And it still does seem that I've been thinking about this a lot, but the goal is for you to become maximally selfish, to augment yourself and your own personal abilities to the personal maximum. But once you do that, then what? It still does seem that in us humans, there's this goal for us to drive the human race forward, for us to continue to share our strengths, our talents with other people and future generations. So I think the sharing component is very important, or the publishing component. And you don't have to share everything you create or publish everything that you do, but it still does seem that for me at least, the more I share, the more I produce, and the more I put out there, the happier I am and the more confidence I personally build. And even now, I no longer really strive for perfection in anything I do. To me, I just treat it all like a stream. Is that stream of consciousness, stream of thoughts. I don't edit myself. I don't pre-rehearse nothing that I'm thinking about. And this way, it actually feels more authentic. It feels more genuine. It feels more direct. And it's essentially putting more faith and credence in yourself and your own personal idiosyncrasies, or what makes you unique, rather than trying to follow some sort of formula. And so I think as of right now, my personal thought is it's kind of like maximal selfishness, like extreme selfishness in terms of trying to augment yourself to the personal maximum. And then after the extreme selfishness, you use your extreme selfishness in order to maximize your extreme altruism for the rest of humanity. So that's my basic thought for the moment. So self-power is the best power. Think about how you could optimize your life, your living, modes of doing things to make that a possibility. I'll share some more personal thoughts on how to do that. But until next time, guys, thanks for watching, guys. Never play yourself. Know that you're capable of epic stuff, and thanks a lot for watching. Peace out.